Keegan, first day on the exhibit floor of HAI 2017, Heli-EXPO. We're obviously out here to look at the greatest thing from Bell and Sikorsky and Leonardo and the rest. But let's face it, we all have to give due deference to our roots. And we have an iconic helicopter, an airframe here, going back to the pride of the Sikorsky era. Tell us what you've got and what the plans are for this particular airframe.
Sure. This is a Sikorsky Hoverfly. It's the first mass-produced helicopter, also really the first practical helicopter. The Hoverfly really changed the world that we live in. It created the helicopter as a pedestrian piece of equipment. Sikorsky himself had worked on it for a number of years to try to refine the design, and with the outbreak of World War II, the U.S. military took a severe interest in this vertical takeoff and landing capacity. So they ordered up about 100 of these Hoverflies, contingent on him modifying his VS-300 design to allow 2 people to sit in the aircraft. So it creates the shape of the modern helicopter, as well as driving future development and interest and excitement around the helicopter. In fact, when Congress signed the appropriation to purchase these on the Army's behalf, they organized a letter writing campaign around the country for people to submit ideas for how they might be used in theater, because the military hadn't really imagined what they might do with a vertical takeoff and landing capability.
At the time these things became mission capable, what were they capable of?
Really quite restricted missions. They were chronically underpowered. They faced issues with their rotor blades, constantly in need of overhaul, but they were able to test out different ideas. They would fly tools on and off of ships. It was thought that they might be able to be carried on convoy ships to look for submarines because altitude gave you an advantage in the war against the U-boat. But perhaps one of the most telling things is that very early on it was surmised that this could be used to rescue people from dangerous situations, that you could lower a winch, a hoist down from the helicopter and rescue people off a sinking ship or a crashed airplane in difficult terrain. In fact, in Burma, very soon after these egg beaters, as they were known, arrived, they found a myriad of uses for the aircraft.
What you have here is one of the original airframes. As I understand it, this is the only one in this kind of shape at this point?
So there are about 8 of the airframes that survive, but most are in the collections of national museums like the Smithsonian or the RAF collections in the UK. So none of them would really be candidates for an airworthy restoration, save this one that was acquired by the CAF in the 1970s. And our ambition is to fly this. It would be the world's oldest flying helicopter, this aircraft having come out of the Sikorsky factory in Stratford, Connecticut on September 26, 1944. Interestingly, though it looks relatively incomplete, most of the really needed parts are there. We're short things like a power plant, we do have rotor blades, but part of the challenge of getting this to where we can fly it is actually determining which of those parts are serviceable and which will need to be replaced by modern facsimile components.
So what do you have ahead of you? What's it going to take to bring this airframe back to life?
It's going to take a lot of time and the commitment of dedicated people, just like every other project in the Commemorative Air Force. We'd be very eager to have anyone who's interested in supporting a project like this, either with in-kind donations, financial support, or just the time that they can devote to bringing this thing back to life, to basically reach out and get in contact with us and share your interest and your love of helicopters and of aviation with other members in the community.
But what's it really going to take? Do you have a rough idea of just what kind of hours, what kind of money, what kind of work is going to be required to bring this back to life?
So we've begun the process of determining how much money and how many parts and how many man hours, but we set ourselves the challenge of bringing it to HAI just to push it over that first hurdle. And we're here and we've crossed that first hurdle and we can begin scoping out the remainder of the restoration now.
For you, what's the reason why you would take so much of your time and energy in this part of your life to do something like recreate a 70-year-old helicopter?
The CAF has always been a passion of mine, you're right, and this is just what we do. From the airplane that led the D-Day invasion to operating what was for the longest time the world's only flying B-29 to 6 B-25 Mitchells, we've got 165 airworthy World War II fixed-wing airplanes. It really is about time that we add a rotorcraft to that collection, that the CAF get its first helicopter.
Aero-TV is brought to you by Have you ever wanted big glass in your cockpit but didn't have the space? Now with Avidyne's IFD series touchscreen GPS navigators and our new IFD 100 iPad app, having big glass in your cockpit is finally within reach.
Free Flight Systems is expanding its business into the Part 25 aviation industry through new avionics shop dealers, manufacturer partnerships, and STC programs. With a focus on the next-gen airspace and remote-mounted sensor systems, Free Flight Systems will continue to be a leader in the next-gen airspace. Visit freeflightsystems.com for details.